Have you ever seen a baseball storyline so dramatic, so unexpectedly poetic, that you feel the universe itself pressing play on a redemption arc nobody asked for, but everybody suddenly wants to see? Because that's exactly what exploded across Philadelphia the moment the news broke. The Phillies, yes, the same Phillies led by the face of the franchise, a man once struck in the head by a runaway fastball, have signed fireballing left-hander Génesis Cabrera. And the instant that name flashed on the transaction wire, millions of memories came rushing back for fans who still remember that terrifying April afternoon in 2021. Picture the scene. Citizens Bank Park buzzing with early season energy, fans pounding on the railings, the usual electricity in the air. Then one pitch out of hundreds thrown that season, veers high and in, exploding off Bryce Harper's face. Gasps echo across the stadium. Social media goes volcanic. Every replay looks scarier than the last. And yet, all these years later, the same pitcher responsible for that moment walks into Philadelphia as a hopeful reclamation project, a man seeking stability, a fresh start, and maybe even closure. Fast forward to late December 2025. The snow outside South Philly settles like confetti from a celebration nobody saw coming. The holiday season quiets the league, but the Phillies front office refuses to stay dormant. They go out, dig into the free agent bin, and pull Cabrera on a minor league deal, a low-risk, high-intrigue signing that instantly lights up the city's sports talk shows. Because this isn't just another bullpen depth move. It's a story layered with emotion, memory, fear, curiosity, and perhaps the most Philly ingredient of all, hope sprinkled with skepticism. The Phillies, still hungry to push deeper into October, are retooling. Matt Strahm is gone, traded away to Kansas City. Left-handed relief options became thinner overnight. The team needed insurance, power, unpredictability, velocity. And here comes Cabrera, a pitcher who has ping-ponged through 4 organizations in a single year, but still carries a left arm capable of painting triple digits on the radar gun. Fans remember him for one unforgettable moment. But the league remembers flashes of brilliance that once made him one of the most exciting young relievers in baseball. Think back to his rookie year with the Cardinals, a 2.42 era, a whip barely above 1, a fearless presence on the mound. Later in Toronto, he looked reborn again, stabilizing a bullpen on the brink of collapse and helping usher the Blue Jays back into the postseason. So, what happened? How did he go from rising star to journeyman? And more importantly, why do the Phillies believe this is the moment to try to pull the spark back out of him? These are the questions swirling as Cabrera arrives in an organization that thrives on turning questionable bets into beloved surprises. Philadelphia is a city that appreciates grit more than polish, effort more than reputation, comeback stories more than clean ones. And this signing, wrapped in tension and nostalgia, feels like something bigger than statistics or scouting reports. This is the beginning of a new chapter for Cabrera, and maybe, just maybe, a story Philly fans will look back on as one of the most unexpected twists of the 2026 season. Now, let's dive straight into the heart of this story, because the Phillies' decision to bring in Génesis Cabrera isn't just a simple depth signing. It's a layered, strategic, emotionally charged move that reflects both the team's philosophy and their vision for 2026. The front office isn't blind to Cabrera's struggles. They know the numbers. They know the volatility. They know he bounced from the Mets to the Twins, to the Cubs, to the Pirates last season like a suitcase that couldn't find a permanent home. But they also know something else. Relievers with elite, raw stuff are some of the most unpredictable assets in baseball, and when one of them hits the market on a minor league deal, smart organizations pounce. Let's be brutally honest, Cabrera's 2025 stat line was a mess. A 6.54 era. 12 home runs allowed in fewer than 43 innings. Command issues that turned every outing into a tightrope walk. But here's the thing, those numbers don't tell the full story. Pitching coaches across the league still talk about his arm talent with a kind of reverence usually reserved for prospects, not veterans. Even in a down year, his fastball velocity held strong. His slider still flashed the sharp, late break that baffled hitters during his early Cardinals days. The problem wasn't the tools, it was consistency, control, and confidence. This is where the Phillies see the opportunity. Philadelphia has quietly become one of the better organizations at coaching up pitchers who lost their way. Look at what they've done in recent seasons, turning unpredictable arms into playoff contributors. The environment matters. The coaching matters. The culture matters. And perhaps most importantly, the expectations matter. Cabrera isn't being asked to save the bullpen. He's not being dropped into high-leverage chaos on day one. He's being brought in to compete, to find himself, to earn a role, and that alone can change the mental landscape for a pitcher who spent an entire year fighting to stay afloat. But let's zoom out. What does his potential revival mean for the Phillies bullpen as a whole? For starters, losing Matt Strahm created a noticeable gap in left-handed options. The Phillies don't want to overwork Jose Alvarado, especially given his history of intense usage. They don't want to rely too heavily on high-leverage specialists to carry the load from both sides of the mound. Depth is the lifeblood of any bullpen with October ambitions, and that lack of depth has bitten Philadelphia in past postseason runs. Cabrera's signing isn't just about filling innings, it's about creating competition. It's about challenging the bullpen to grow sharper, stronger, deeper. And competition breeds excellence, especially in a city like Philadelphia, where every roster spot feels earned rather than gifted. Of course, no analysis of this signing is complete without discussing the emotional elephant in the room. His history with Bryce Harper. You can't talk about Cabrera without the shadows of that 2021 pitch appearing in the conversation. But here's what makes the story fascinating. Internally, the Phillies clearly believe this is a non-issue. Harper is known for being fiercely competitive, emotionally intelligent, and quick to move past pure accidents. The organization wouldn't have made this move if they sensed even a flicker of discomfort from the clubhouse leader. And to be honest, the idea of Cabrera and Harper now sharing the same dugout adds a cinematic tension that only sports can deliver. Imagine the conversations. Imagine the first bullpen session where Harper steps into the box. Imagine the playful smiles, the jokes, the clearing of old ghosts. It's the kind of behind-the-scenes moment that builds chemistry, the stuff fans never see, but players talk about for years. So, yes, Cabrera's 2025 season was ugly. Yes, he bounced around like a pitcher fighting for his identity. But the Phillies aren't signing his past, they're signing his potential future. They're betting on talent, on upside, on coaching, and on the possibility that a fresh environment can unlock his best self again. And maybe, just maybe, this is the perfect scenario for that transformation. And now we arrive at the final act of this drama, the part where emotion meets strategy, where baseball logic collides with the unpredictable magic that makes this sport unforgettable. Because the signing of Génesis Cabrera isn't just about filling a roster spot or handing out a minor league spring training invite. It's about asking the bigger question, what does this move mean for the Philadelphia Phillies, not just today or tomorrow, but deep into the 2026 season and possibly beyond? Let's explore the long-term impact. If Cabrera finds his footing, the Phillies suddenly possess a bullpen weapon that can tilt matchups in their favor. Think about October baseball, where every pitch feels like the last drop of water in a dry desert. Managers crave left-handed relievers who can neutralize power hitters, silence rallies, and shift momentum. Cabrera at his peak has exactly that profile. And Philly has been burned before by lack of depth in playoff moments. Fans remember it, the clubhouse remembers it, the front office certainly remembers it. Bringing in Cabrera is like adding a wild card to the deck, one that might turn a tense postseason inning into a roar-inducing escape. But beyond tactics and statistics lies something even more compelling, the symbolic power of the signing. Imagine the arc, a pitcher once linked to one of the scariest moments in recent Phillies history, now fighting to help that same team chase glory. Sports thrive on narratives like this. Fans embrace them, players internalize them, and teams sometimes rally around them as a source of unity. Cabrera doesn't need to be perfect. He doesn't even need to be dominant. He just needs to be useful, reliable, confident enough to reclaim the version of himself that once helped carry two different teams into the postseason. And let's not overlook the environment he's entering. Philadelphia isn't a city that gives out free passes, but it is a city that rewards effort, grit, and honest work. If Cabrera shows improvement, if he shows fire, determination, self-awareness, the fans will buy in. They always do, because underneath the intensity and the noise, the passion of this city is rooted in loyalty and authenticity. Show them you care, and they'll care right back. Looking ahead, the Phillies could shape multiple bullpen scenarios depending on how Cabrera develops. If he regains his command, he might settle into a middle relief role and gradually earn high-leverage innings. If the coaching staff unlocks his mechanics even further, he could become a setup option by midseason. And if everything clicks, well, then the Phillies will have discovered one of the value steals of the winter. And on a minor league deal, that's front office gold. Of course, there's a more dramatic potential outcome too. The moment when Cabrera and Harper officially turn the page. Maybe it happens in spring training, maybe it happens during a bullpen session, maybe it happens during a game where Cabrera locks down a jam and Harper is the first to greet him with a grin. That's the moment the story completes its arc, when the old memory dissolves into something new, something shared, something triumphant. So now, let's bring this conversation to you, because that's what makes this channel what it is. I want to hear your reactions, your emotions, your predictions. Do you believe this is the redemption arc Philadelphia didn't know it needed? Do you think Cabrera's upside makes this one of the sneaky smart moves of the offseason? Or are you skeptical, waiting to see if the mechanics, the command, the confidence truly return? Drop your take in the comment section. Tell me if you're excited, cautious, or outright stunned. And if you're rooting for this comeback story, hit that like button so this report reaches every diehard Phillies fan who lived through the 2021 moment and now gets to watch the sequel unfold. Because if Cabrera turns his career around in Philadelphia, this might become one of those stories people talk about for years, a story of baseball fate resilience and a left arm that refuses to fade quietly.